Accepting imperfections. She turns heads when she walks into a room. Has anybody heard something similar about beautiful people or famous people? Imagine turning heads everywhere you go, but for something they call an imperfection. What are imperfections though? Pimples, scars, or maybe a big face? Yes, for real. In Korea, small faces are seen as perfection, and a so called bigger face is seen as brutally unattractive. Each country has its own judgments and prejudices on imperfections. If you think about it, imperfections are perceptions of how something is not like it's supposed to be. And so does anything different make me want to reject it. Imagine the white tiger. Humans are fascinated by its beauty and glory. But what if its own species rejects it? I have first hand experience. I was born into a middle class joint family in Mumbai. Back then, in the late 60s, society was far less accommodating and accepting than it is today. I was born with a big red vascular port wine mark on the left side of my face. The vascular nature of my birthmark restricted my play, which was hard for me to understand as a child. Most of my childhood was spent watching others play carefree. Even a small scratch on my birthmark meant an excessive amount of bleeding, which was the reason for the caution exercised by my well-meaning parents. The early part of my childhood was full of conflicting emotions: kindness, love, hope, rejection, pity, ridicule. Having this birthmark meant that my chances of finding a partner or getting married were bleak. In that sense, the idea was almost written off. At times, most conversations would involve and revolve around marriage, then considered the most important goal for a girl. At age 9, my parents, clearly under societal pressure, took me to see a dermatologist to see if my birthmark could be treated in some way. When the doctor explained the procedure for the plastic surgery, I was terrified. I still remember the fear and discomfort, imagining the pain I would go through to remove this birthmark surgically. And so I mustered enough courage and asked my parents if I could speak to the doctor alone. Then I said to him, "I don't want to look good for anybody." The doctor smiled, called my parents into the room, and said, "Let her be. Her confidence is her strength." As I turned 17, studying in class 12, I overheard a conversation between my grandmother and aunts. They were unanimously in agreement to the notion that if any marriage proposal came along, it should be unquestioningly accepted. Then that evening, my father sat me down and said something. Physical beauty does not guarantee a relationship or the longevity of it. It is the inner beauty that ultimately matters. Wise words from a wise man. This was the turning point in my life. I told my parents to stop looking for marriage prospects. And after this, all my effort went into the person I was becoming. I refused to get my birthmark treated or removed and simply let it be. Has anybody seen the animated film Shrek? Princess Fiona had a castle and all else. But she had a problem. Something I understood because I had a similar one. In the end, it was all about believing that your imperfection is not a bad thing and can actually become something that can define you. My birthmark is a great conversation starter, I must say. The Mumbai local experience has been fun and something I held very close to my heart. I've had women come forward to offer fixes and treatment methods. I felt cared for by unknown strangers. I didn't agree with some of their fundamentals and opinions, but I know they came from a clean heart and meant well. But someone who actually helped me accept the imperfection that the world would see was none other than my son, Tanmay. Here's something interesting. Even though I was born with this and was fighting judgments against it, I had a fear. What if my son was born with it? What if he would have to go through the same things that I did? And so when he was born without any marks, I was relieved, which made me think and understand something about myself. I had more work to do to accept it completely myself. One day he asked me a very innocent question. Ma, why do people stare at you? To which I answered, it is because of my birthmark. His reply to that, 2 words, so what? Which simply meant that perfection to him was me with the mark. This young child was unaffected by how the world perceived me. This was a huge learning for me. What I would like to share with you in conclusion is that it is not what we have, but what we do with what we have that makes for a powerful story. Our entire being is like a processing unit. There is the input, which is what we go through in life. The processing unit, that is us, and the output, which is the result of how well we deal with what we go through. The input could be your challenge, your unique challenge. But your processing unit needs to be in optimal health. And only then will your output be a beautiful lesson, a growth story. How do we understand beauty? Who defines it? What are the parameters of beauty? And most importantly, what is inner beauty? Inner beauty is all about leading an authentic life and accepting yourself the way you are. This imperfection was perfect for my journey. As a mental health practitioner and coach, it has added invaluable insights into my work. Accepting my imperfections has helped me in accepting others, in being more genuine and non-judgmental, qualities critical to a practitioner in the wellness space. This journey of acceptance has taught me that breaking our mental constructs and barriers is the only way ahead. People respect strength of character more than anything else, and that winners are made through their confidence and persistence, not just ambition. In my journey, I noticed that on one side, people loved and accepted me with my birthmark, and on the other side, some even thought of it to be a curse. Perfection, therefore, is a very rigid construct and only narrows down our chances of growing with love and empathy towards others. So the question I want to leave you with today is, can we do away with this notion of absolute perfection? Thank you.